Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to discuss one of the most critical aspects of construction contracts, the program. At first glance, it might seem like just another timeline, but in reality, it's the backbone of the entire project. When handled correctly, a well-prepared program not only guides the contractor in executing the works, but also keeps the employer and engineer aligned on every detail. However, when it becomes part of the contract, it can bring both clarity and complexity. Understanding how to navigate these dynamics is crucial for any construction professional, and that's exactly what we'll explore today. By the end of this session, you'll have a deeper understanding of how the program influences project success, and more importantly, how to manage it effectively within the legal frameworks of contracts like FIDIC and JCT. So let's get started with this video in-depth analysis. The role and impact of the program as a contract document. In construction contracts, the program is often viewed as the foundation on which a project is built. It's not just a timeline, it's a strategic tool that aligns the contractor, the employer, and the engineer on the project's execution. Elevating the program to the status of a contract document transforms it from a flexible guide into a legally binding roadmap. And this change has far-reaching consequences. Both the general analysis of making the program a contract document and the specifics of FIDIC Clause 8.3 illustrate the critical balance between control, flexibility, and risk in construction projects. Let us look at the importance of the program in construction contracts. In its simplest form, the program provides a structured timeline detailing how and when various stages of the works will be executed. It includes the sequencing of activities, milestones, deadlines, and resource allocation. In most standard contracts, such as JCT 2011 and FIDIC's Red Book, the contractor is required to submit a program early in the project life cycle. For example, JCT 2011 mandates the contractor to provide a master program as soon as possible after the contract is executed, Clause 2.9. FIDIC takes this further with Clause 8.3, requiring the contractor to submit a detailed program within 28 days after receiving the commencement notice. This early submission ensures that the contractor's plan is well integrated with the employee's expectations and the contract requirements. However, the decision to make the program a legally binding contract document introduces complexities that significantly alter its role and the relationship between the contractor and the employer. Now, we will discuss program as a contract document control versus flexibility. When the program becomes part of the contract, it imposes a rigid framework on the contractor. The contractor is no longer simply expected to follow the program. They are legally bound to it. Every aspect of the project, from the sequence of operations to the timing of individual tasks, must be executed in accordance with this detailed plan. This rigidity can create significant challenges, particularly in an industry like construction, where unexpected events are the norm rather than the exception. A contractor typically needs flexibility to adapt to changing conditions on site, whether it's adverse weather, delays in material delivery, or unforeseen technical challenges. In most contracts, including the JC and FIDIC forms, there is a provision for the contractor to revise the program as necessary. However, when the program is part of the contract, revising it becomes a formal and time-consuming process, often requiring the approval of the engineer or the employer. Let's look at the legal precedents The risks of program rigidity. The case of Yorkshire Water Authority versus Sir Alfred McAlpine's Son, Northern Limited in 1985 is a key example of how rigid adherence to a program can lead to legal and financial complications. In this case, the contractor submitted a method statement with its tender outlining the sequence of work. However, due to unforeseen circumstances, it became impossible to follow the method as planned. The contractor sought a variation order under the contract's conditions to account for this change. The court ruled that since the method statement had been incorporated into the contract, it was legally binding. This meant that the contractor was obliged to follow it unless it was physically or legally impossible. Since the contractor was able to prove that following the original method was indeed impossible, they were entitled to a variation order. The case underscores the inherent risk in making a program a contract document. When real-world conditions prevent strict adherence, the contractor must rely on the contract's variation mechanisms to avoid liability. A similar situation occurred in English Industrial Estates Corporation versus Kier Construction Limited in 1992. Here, the contractor's method statement, which was part of the contract, outlined a specific sequence for demolishing and reusing materials. When this plan proved uneconomical, the contractor argued that they should be allowed to deviate from it. The court agreed, but only because the wording of the method statement allowed for some discretion. This case illustrates how careful wording in the contract can mitigate the risks of rigidity, but also highlights the challenges contractors face when the program becomes a binding document. FIDIC Clause 8.3, structured but demanding. In FIDIC contracts, the program is central to the project's planning and execution. Clause 8.3 outlines the contractor's responsibility to submit a comprehensive program that includes every stage of the works, from design and procurement to construction and testing. The program must detail how the contractor plans to carry out the works, taking into account subcontractors, inspections, and tests. One of the key strengths of Clause 8.3 is that it establishes a clear framework for collaboration between the contractor, the engineer, and the employer. The contractor submits the program within 28 days of receiving the notice to commence works, and the engineer has 21 days to review and approve it. If the program does not comply with the contract or is impractical, the engineer can reject it, giving the contractor specific reasons for its rejection. This process ensures that all parties are aligned on the project's timeline and methods before work progresses too far. However, the obligation to adhere to the program as a contract document can be burdensome for the contractor. If the actual progress of the works deviates from the program, whether due to delays, resource shortages, or other unforeseen events, the contractor must submit a revised program for approval. While this ensures that the program remains an accurate reflection of the project's progress, it can also introduce delays and additional administrative burdens, particularly if the revisions are frequent or contentious. Managing delays and variations. The importance of early communication, both FIDIC Clause 8.3 and General Contract Principles, emphasize the importance of proactive communication when it comes to managing delays and variations. Clause 8.3 requires the contractor to promptly notify the engineer of any potential delays or events that could impact the timeline or increase the cost of the works. This early warning system is designed to give the engineer and the employer time to assess the situation and take corrective action. whether that means approving a revised program or granting an extension of time under Clause 8.4. The case of Havant Borough Council versus South Coast Shipping Company Limited in 1996 highlights how a failure to follow the program, even for legitimate reasons, can lead to disputes. In this case, the contractor was unable to follow the method statement due to a court injunction that restricted working hours. The contractor deviated from the original plan, which resulted in a variation claim. The court ruled in the contractor's favor, acknowledging that the deviation was necessary due to circumstances beyond their control. However, this case also illustrates the risks contractors face when deviating from a program that has been incorporated into the contract, as even justified deviations can lead to legal disputes and claims. Now let us look at the employer's role on oversight and risk associated with this clause. From the employer's perspective, making the program a contract document provides a tool for maintaining oversight of the project's progress. The program allows the employer to monitor the sequence and timing of the works, ensuring that the contractor is on track to meet key milestones. It also gives the employer the opportunity to intervene if potential delays are identified, such as delays in procurement or subcontractor performance. However, the employer also faces risks when the program is part of the contract. If the program proves to be unrealistic or unachievable, the employer may find themselves paying for variations and additional costs without seeing any tangible benefits. The program, in this case, becomes a double-edged sword. It provides control, but it also exposes the employer to financial risk if the contractor is unable to meet the program's requirements due to unforeseen circumstances. Conclusion: a balancing act between control and flexibility. In conclusion, while the program is an essential tool in construction project management, elevating it to the status of a contract document creates a delicate balancing act. For contractors, the program provides a framework for planning and executing the works, but it also imposes strict obligations that can be difficult to meet in the face of real-world challenges. The FIDIC contract, particularly Clause 8.3, offers some flexibility by allowing revisions and updates, but it also places a significant administrative burden on both the contractor and the engineer. For employers, the program provides a level of control and oversight that is crucial for ensuring that the project stays on track. However, this control comes at the cost of increased financial exposure if the contractor encounters delays or unforeseen events that require variations to the program. Ultimately, the decision to make the program a contract document should be approached with caution, while it ensures that the contractor is held accountable for their planning and execution. It also introduces legal and financial risks that must be carefully managed to avoid disputes and delays. The program, therefore, is not just a schedule, it's a strategic tool that must be handled with care to ensure the successful completion of the project. As we wrap up, it's important to remember that the program in a construction contract is much more than a schedule. It's a strategic tool that drives the entire project. Whether it's ensuring all parties are aligned, managing delays, or navigating the legal complexities. When the program becomes part of the contract, your ability to effectively handle it will directly impact the success of any project you manage. Today, we've explored how to balance the control and flexibility needed to keep a project on track, using insights from real-world cases and contract provisions like FIDIC Clause 8.3. As you move forward, keep in mind that the strength of your program lies not just in its technical details, but in your proactive communication, adaptability, and careful planning. Thank you for your attention today, and I encourage you to take these insights into your future projects to manage risks and ensure project success. See you soon.